Hello, Marcos. How are you, man? Thank you so much
Uh,
for your time. Welcome to Rock Talks.
Thank you for having me, man. Very excited to be a part of this. I've seen a bunch of your interviews, man, and I've been looking forward to our first time chatting.
Oh, thank you very much for that. Didn't know
Yes,
that.
sir.
All right, so let's talk about this new band you put together, Swim the Current, right?
Yes, sir.
So please tell me, how did the band get together?
So, around the time last year, I was doing a bunch of features and writing for a bunch of other bands, and they had contacted me, and they wanted to do a feature, and that's how initially it started. And we put out our first track. It's called "We're Not the Same." And it just started out as a feature, but I could just tell from that first time tracking, I was like, man, this is really good. And that was probably the best feature that I had done. Came out of the gate and immediately got 100,000 streams right away, and there seemed to be a lot of excitement about it, a lot more than any of the other features that I had done. And so a couple months went by. My schedule was really busy with El Nino, and they contacted me again and said, "Hey, we would love for you to do a whole EP." And at that time, I was really busy, but I did throw out the idea to them. I said, "Hey, well, I'm interested in doing it. I love the music. I think it's great for my vocal, but I want to do a country cover." And immediately there was kind of some hesitation, and I was like, "Oh, you know what? That's what I want to do. I think it'll be great for the band. So let's do it." And upon deciding what track we were going to do and recording, I grew really close to the guys. I love the music, and we kind of just decided, hey, let me be the singer full time. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
I don't think necessarily that they were looking for a singer, nor was I looking for another band to join. But it was just one of those things where it was right time, right place, right moment, and I'm very excited about the future with the band.
So this was like 2 or 3 years ago when you got together.
Correct. Correct. Yeah,
So
it
you,
was. I was doing a lot of writing for a lot of bands, and I was in the studio a lot, so I kind of put it out there that I was open to doing features, and they were one of the first ones that hit me up.
so this happened when you just got into El Nino, or maybe you were like maybe like just like a few months later, right?
Yeah, maybe like a year into it. And like I said, my schedule was so busy with them that I really didn't have time to be doing other projects. But like I said, this one was special. Once I heard like the other songs that the guys had and how quickly they wrote music, how they were all veterans and they all had their own projects, I felt like it was just kind of like, you know, fate, in lack of a better term.
Right,
Mm.
right. So you got Chris Moore in the lineup who plays with George Link, right?
Yeah, Chris is a great guy, man.
So can we expect more of that 80s guitar playing style with Swim the Current for the next songs, next album?
Yeah, well, actually, we're working on a full album right now with the label group, and again, it was one of those things that we really didn't set out to make a full record, but it just worked out that way. You know what I mean? And yeah, there is some of that 80s style guitar playing. I brought a lot of my influence kind of from a little bit of country rock that I listen to, a little bit of the new metal that I do with El Nino, and like I said, all of these guys work in various projects, so they all have their special, niche that they do. And man, it just kind of came together so great, man.
Mhm. So you were talking about the So Low cover, right? This Co Wetel cover, that's a
Go
country,
Wetzel. Correct.
one of your favorites. I understand.
Yes. So, I grew up here in South Texas, man. So, I think anybody that knows me knows that I'm a big time country guy. As much as I sing metal and write metal, you'll rarely catch me listening to it. I'm usually listening to country music, especially when I'm on the road. I always laugh with my friends and say the easiest way to clear out the El Nino bus is to just put on some country music. Those guys bolt. But yeah, it's an artist that I love so much. I've followed him, from his start, And the reason kind of why we picked that song is my father was diagnosed with cancer along my first year in El Nino. So it was very, very hard for me to, touring and being away from home, and so that record, and especially that song, was kind of like the soundtrack of my father being diagnosed and eventually passing away. And so when I threw out the idea of doing these songs to Swim the Current, I didn't pick this song specifically. I gave them a laundry list of songs for them to listen to, and turned a bunch of New York boys country for a week or two. But they came back with this song, and man, I wanted to do a fucking backflip, man, because the song meant so much to me, and I think you can hear it in the vocals, man. You can hear the anger and desperation and all of those things that I was feeling at that time, and that's very rare. Once you put that in a track and you hear that come across in the vocals, it's going to be something really special.
Yeah, it's a really emotional song. I could tell that. So
Yeah, very much.
you told me that the guys were a little hesitant about doing a country cover with this band, but I just remember, since you are from Texas as well, the guys from Pantera did a whole record with David Allan Coe called Rebel Meets
Yeah,
Rebel. So did
yeah.
you tell them about that? So there is some.
Oh, absolutely. No, I told him about that. I told him about, even CoEtzel is more on the rock side, and bands like Lakewood, and those lines are slowly getting blurred, and people are mixing these genres. So I said, hey, you know what? Like, I think this could be something special. And see, the beauty of Swim the Current was at that time, uh, if it sucked, we could have just thrown it away. You know what I mean? So there was no pressure to do this for a label or to do this for anything specific. Like with Shattered Sun, when we first started, it was about making it. We had to make it. So that record had to be everything. When I joined El Nino, there was pressure to, you know, exceed the expectations that were set before me. You know what I mean, by the singer previous to me and stuff. But with Swim the Current, there was none of that pressure. It was just like, hey, let's do this for fun. And lo and behold, we landed a record deal, and now the ball's really rolling. So, kind of my first time experiencing that.
Right. It was more natural for you guys, right?
Very, 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 very natural. I would say in every musical outfit that I've been in, there's been a big heap of pressure, which is a good thing. I work well in pressure, but this was the first time where it was like, well, we'll just see. We'll see what happens, man, and we'll put our heart and soul into it, and it seems to be doing really well right now.
Yeah. Congratulations. I like the
Thank you.
fact that you take your roots, your southern roots, and you put it into your bands. And I say this because you already put out a Selena cover, Si Una Vez, right? You did
Yeah,
like 2 years ago, maybe three already.
yeah, and
I
and
was
you know what
very
the fun?
surprised about that. I mean, I know you're from Texas, and I know, of course, Selena was from the Corpus Christi area. But at the same time, I was thinking like maybe this is the first time ever a metal band like did a Selena cover. So
Yeah,
maybe I'm wrong, but I'm what I'm trying to say is, and I'm gonna sound like total kiss ass, but congratulations for having huge balls to do this in a metal
thank you.
because it's not very common. It's not very easy.
Yeah, no, and I think the beautiful thing about that was, we were kicking around the idea of doing a cover. We didn't know what, but I wanted to kind of leave my fingerprints on the band. You know what I mean? Especially in El Nino. I'm pure blood Latino from South Texas. Selena is la reina. You know what I mean? She's everything to me. My parents, my grandparents grew up showing me all of those groups, so I have deep roots in Tejano music as well. And I had took that to Dave and told him, I really want to do this because it really means so much to my roots and to where I'm from, and to the fan base from here that supports me. You know what I mean? That's been with me since I started. And I think there was I think there was a big shock, you know what I mean, in the El Nino fan base and community when they heard that song. But again, I love it. I love being able to leave my fingerprints on the band.
So do you think you guys are gonna play that song live, maybe on tour at some point?
Yeah, actually, on this upcoming tour, we were fiddling around with it on the Confessions run because we were going to play Corpus Christi. So every time we've played Corpus Christi, we've sold it out, and
Mm.
so I kind of wanted to give something back to the city that really gave me my start. So I said, what better way than to play this song? You know what I mean? And we weren't able to execute it at that point in time, but because that tour was more for the Confessions record. But this upcoming tour, we will definitely have it on the set list.
Yeah, I was about to say that if you're gonna play Corpus Christi, you gotta play that song.
And it's funny. There was on one of the last tours we did, we played in Michigan, and it's funny that you say Michigan. We played in Michigan, and in between songs, I was, the music kind of dies down, and I was getting a drink of water, and there was this lady screaming, "Play Selena, de una vez, queremos bailar," and I was like, "Yo, where the fuck are we at right now? We're in fucking Michigan, dude." But oh man, I kept telling Dave, I was like, "We have to fucking play it now, man."
Which
It
city
was
was
crazy.
that?
Man, I'm trying to remember off the top of my head, but I know it was in Michigan. It was somewhere that we played because I remember saying like, "Where the hell are we? That somebody is in the front row
Yeah,
screaming that at me."
exactly. No, it's gotta be Detroit because here in northern Michigan or even cities like Grand Rapids or Flint or Traverse City, which is like a little up to the north. I mean, most people look at me like I'm some kind of alien. I mean, like a Martian. Like what is this guy doing here?
Yeah.
And a lot of time, I work in a restaurant right now. I work in a couple of other places as well. But when I'm working at the restaurant, people ask me, and this happened like a dozen times at least. Hey, where are you from? I can't tell where are you from. I mean, I know you're Latino, but and I can tell you're not Mexican, but where are you from? And I tell them, well, I was born and raised in Peru. And they were like, oh my God, Peru. They lose their freaking mind. Like the first time they saw a Peruvian ever in their lives. I don't know. So
Oh my God.
they make a
That's
buzz about it. So it's really funny for me still.
and you know what? Now that you're saying that, I want to say it was Grand Rapids. I that when you said that, that name kind of triggered to me. But again, man, it
That's
was
weird.
yeah, it's very 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 weird. But
Yeah,
you best believe I bring that up every single time we're making set lists.
that's a funny story. All
Mm.
right, let's go back to swim the current. So you told me that you guys are working already on a full length, right?
Correct. I'm actually leaving this weekend to go work with Sahaj from the band Ra. He's a incredible producer, and I've always wanted to work with him. When in Shattered Sun and El Nino, and things just didn't really line up. But now they kind of have to where he's gonna work on a few of the songs with us. But again, it kind of goes back to the no pressure aspect. We've done songs with El Nino's producer. We've done songs with my guy here in Texas, Chris Reyes. Now we're going with Sahaj. So we're just kind of dipping around, you know what I mean, and really molding the band sound. I know there's going to be a country element. I know there's going to be a big rock element in it, but we're trying to really hone the lines in on what this first record is really going to sound like.
So are you still in pre-production or you have some songs done already?
Oh yeah, no, we have about 4 or 5 songs done. Probably by next week, I would anticipate another 4 songs to be done, and we've already have 2 releases, and we'll see kind of where the label group wants to go with it after that. But I'm really excited about the songs, man. They like you said, they carry a lot of my roots in it, so
Yeah, totally.
I'm excited for people to hear it.
Mhm. So do you think this album will be out maybe by the end of the year?
Yeah, I would say so. The goal is because I know my schedule with El Nino and the El Nino record's about to get really, really busy. So we kind of want to fit it in there somewhere to where it's both
Tracks.
albums can really breathe.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, but we're definitely aiming to maybe an end of summer release, something like that. So
Even better. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, again, man, when things are so perfect like this and they work out like this, the music just kind of clicks and goes fast, dude.
Mhm. And what about touring dates?
So we when we set out, we had you know, really no ambition to tour. We were just kind of making music. But now that now that there's a record and a release involved, we're looking at some buy-on options. We're looking at some tour because that's the thing. We want to come out guns blazing. So we want to do a big tour supporting somebody. And right now we're currently working on that. I would anticipate we probably won't do any touring until that record's right about to come out. So maybe sometime towards the end of summer, after the El Nino European tour, maybe September, somewhere in there.
This Il Niño tour is the one with Flo?
Correct. We have a United States version, and then we have one that's overseas. It has different support. I can't really reveal who the support is for the European leg, but we're definitely excited about it. We're looking forward to playing with Flaw and A Killer's Confession, both bands that definitely I grew up loving, idolizing. So that's kind of the cool thing with El Nino, man, is I grew up such a fan of the band that when I come around these other bands, you know what I mean. I have such great stories of growing up listening to them, you know what I mean? So to be on tour with them now is amazing.
Yeah, I remember an old interview. I don't remember if it was you or some other Il Niño member, or maybe the whole band, because sometimes you do interviews like all six
Yeah.
of you, right?
Yeah.
But I do remember that you or someone else in the band said that you were such a huge Il Niño fan back in the day, meaning like 10 years ago, that you were singing with them during sound check, and you actually
Yeah.
all the songs, all the lyrics from all the.
Oh, absolutely. So I'll take you back even further. When El Nino was first on the Confessions tour, I won a radio contest to to meet the band and have pizza with the band, and I did my hair up in dreads, and man, it was I must have been like 14 years old at the time,
Oh,
15 years old.
it was
So I was in a
2003, right?
yeah, 2003. Yeah, I was still in high school. I was in a cover band that played all the El Nino songs, and that tour specifically that you're talking about was the 15-year anniversary of Revolution.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and Shattered Sun, my band, had the privilege of opening for that tour.
Hmm.
So I had went to their drum tech at the time, who is now the drummer of Machine Head. And I said, man, I'd love to get on stage and sing a song, whenever. And he was like, well, what song do you know? I'll take it to the band. I said, I know all the songs. And off the first three records, I know every song, every lyric. And he goes, all right, well, we're going to put you to the test, big boy. So a few nights later, I'm standing on the side of the stage and I'm just getting down with the band. And he comes up to me. He goes, hey, are you ready to sing a song? And I said, yeah, which song? Which song? And he goes, the test is on. So I really had to know my shit then. So I walk up on the stage and I think the whole band's in on it, man. They know that I'm either gonna fail miserably or I'm gonna click and it works. So Christian calls me up on stage and he goes, we're gonna play a song. They waited to the very end to say, oh, this one's gonna be Rip Out Your Eyes. So immediately, boop, click, knew it. And to be honest with you, I think that was the first time that Dave and Laz kind of looked at me and were like, there's something,
Yeah.
there's something here with this kid. So the rest of that tour, Christian was just not doing sound check. So, and of course, I didn't want to step on any toes. I know how it is being a singer.
Thanks.
It's yeah, it's hard to sing 20 songs a night. Trust me, I've done it. It's
It
and
is.
to do it every night. you know.
Right.
So it's a tough feat. So I offered. I said, hey, I'll gladly sound check for you guys. So every day, I would go in there and play some of my favorite songs off of some of my favorite records of all time that really molded me. And I saw that little twinkle in Dave's eye at that point. So I always joke around and tell people I think that was the first time that I really made him horny.
That's funny.
Yeah, yeah. But I kept in good contact with the guys for a while after that, and even the members that are not in the band, Christian, Aru, Diego. I struck a friendship up with all of those guys when I was out there, and to this day, I know there's a lot of things that have been said and a lot of things that have gone back and forth. You know what I mean? But to this day, I've never been one to run to the press and talk shit, you know what I mean, or say things. It's hard for me because these dudes I grew up, you know, idolizing. So it's hard for me to have that aggression, towards them. So, I've always kind of played it cool after the split happened. I messaged all of them, they all didn't get back to me, understandably, but
Right.
just kind of the way I was raised. I'm not gonna talk shit about you publicly. I'll just go to you and tell you, hey, let's whatever there is, let's squash it. You know what I mean? And I don't think it ever got squashed, but I still got a lot of respect for those dudes, no matter what.
That's really nice. That's a very mature way to look at it. So well done.
Yeah, it's very easy. And I have to say this too. Like there have been times in that split where they've said some things about me personally, or they've talked about me in interviews, and it's been very hard not to sometimes retaliate.
Right.
But I just kind of let the music do the talking. Any aggression that I ever have, I kind of just put it in the music, and I think some people pick up on it.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. Last told me that one time I got the chance to interview him, like I would say 2 years already. I told him about what Christian said about Sangre, which was the first single,
Yeah.
and well, he got a little mad, but then
Oh yeah. I mean, naturally, those guys got a lot more invested in it. You know what I mean? They got 20 something years of
right, right,
of not only band related stuff, but personal stuff too,
right,
on
exactly.
a friendship level. So I totally understand that. And like I said, some days, when you let me put it to you this way, man. When you hear somebody that you grew up really like loving and idolizing say something really nasty about you, uh it's hard because part of me is very competitive to where I want to be like, hey, fuck you. If you were doing your job, I wouldn't be here. But another part of me is kind of like, yo, take it back. These guys have a lot more things going on throughout their 20 years history of the band. It's not really my fight to fight,
Not their
you know what I
fault,
mean?
yeah.
And yeah, it's not. And the only thing that I will say is that you know they picked the right guy to come in here, because I am a fan, and I tell all the fans every night that I go play. I go out to the merch table, and I get to hear all the stories from the fans, and I have those same stories too. So I try and be that bridge from the fans to the band. You know what I mean? And I'll continue to be that in my time with the band.
Mhm. Just to wrap up this episode, what Christian actually said about Sangre back in the day, well, back in 2 years ago, not back in the day. He said, "I hope they find their way." That was the way to put like, I don't know, to describe Sangre, right?
Mhm.
And maybe he was trying to say, I hope they don't try to sound like the old Il Nino. Like maybe they
Mhm.
can try to find a new sound, like most bands do when they change singer. Remember how Anthrax changed their sound with the Sound of White Noise with John Bush.
Yeah, yeah.
Same with Against by Sepultura with Derek Green. Uh,
Hmm.
Phil Anselmo with Pantera. Forget about it. I mean,
Yeah.
all these
Uh,
bands they make turns, right?
Yeah.
for the good or for the worst. In some,
Yeah.
so maybe he was trying to say that. So how do you take that phrase? I hope they find their way.
Man, I think at the time when I heard that, I took it as an insult, because I was just barely starting out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But now I kind of have viewed it as like, okay, challenge accepted, my friend. Uh, and I feel like the band has had some really great success with Sangre. You know, that was the first. I mean, Sangre being the first song, but Mascara, having over 5,000 spins at radio, and almost accumulating over a few million streams. And I feel like we kind of made our mark already, and so I guess kind of looking back at it, I don't take it as much as of an insult anymore. I kind of take it as, okay, you're the new guy, challenge accepted, and I feel like I've really stepped up to the challenge, man. And
It was like a
you know,
motivation for you to keep pushing forward, right?
absolutely, and it works on both sides. Like I said, I have a very competitive side to me. So when I'm in the studio, man, I turn into a Terminator, dude, and I
Mhm.
like how you said, some bands make a turn. I'm kind of the mindset of, yeah, I've implemented new things into the band, and the band's gonna have kind of a new sound, as you can kind of hear in some of the songs. But those first three El Nino records changed a lot of people's lives,
Yeah,
and I think
hold, man.
absolutely, and I feel like I'd be doing a disservice to the fans. I'd be doing a disservice to myself and my roots, if I completely altered that. As a matter of fact, I feel like the band kind of altered that as their records kept coming out. You know what I mean? So those first few tours, when I would go out and I would see what the fans were saying, man, they wanted to hear Liar, they wanted to hear Revolution, they wanted to hear Predisposed,
Right, right.
they wanted to hear all the songs off of those first
You
three
still hate
records. And
me.
that what?
If you still hate me.
Yeah, if you still hear, that's our opening song. You know what I
Right.
mean? And so I like, again, I feel like I'd be doing a disservice to the great fans and legacy of this band to completely be like, no, we're going our own direction, and that's not what I'm about, man. I want to restore El Nino to what it was when I first found it, because it was right there towards the end before I got in the band. Those last couple of years, they were really rough, man, and I saw it with my own eyes as a fan. It was tough to listen to. It was tough to see your favorite band of all time kind of dying. You know what I mean? And so if there's anything that I can do or want to do or have done, it is restore the band back to its prominence.
Mhm. And I think you guys are gonna share a stage with Lions at the Gate on Incarceration Festival in Ohio, right?
Correct.
But I think
Correct.
you guys
Yeah.
are like playing Friday and they are playing Saturday, I think.
Yes. Correct. 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 And I've got nothing but respect for Lions at the Gates. I've 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 known some of the band members that are in there, from quite some time, being from here in Texas and Texas music scene. And I think it's to the point now where I think the fans kind of understand now. You know what I mean? In the beginning, it was picking sides. Whose side do you want to pick? And now I think it's okay. It's El Nino, and they got lined at the gates. And I
Yeah.
think everybody's better for it, to be honest with you. And I'm very happy about that now.
Yeah, that kind of breakups with bands happen all the time. And at least the way I see it is the winners are the fans because now we have two great bands. So we have
Exactly.
two bands to see live. And I know Lions at the Gate, they don't want to play any El Nino songs and they want to stick with their own material, which is understandable.
Mm.
But yeah, El Nino is doing great nowadays. So I would like to talk about the All or Nothing song that you recorded with Sonny Sandoval
Oh
from
yeah.
POD. You guys did a song and also did a video. So I would like to ask you, how was that whole experience to work with Sonny in studio and shooting the video?
He is he is as advertised, bro. He is an incredible musician and even an incredible person. And that was right in the beginning. So I was still nervous in a lot of things, you know what I mean? Like it felt like I was the new guy, and everybody that was coming around was like they had all been friends for 20 years, but I was kind of new to the situation. Um, but man, he treated me with such great respect, man, gave me some advice. We got to work together a little bit in the studio and shoot a video together. I got to meet his son and talk some football with him. That was incredible too. He was just one of those guys that, like, when I look back and think about all the bands that kind of helped me want to be a singer, Sonny was one of them, and POD was one of them. And it was such an incredible experience. I'm looking forward to playing that song live and maybe having Sonny come out and sing it with us one of these days.
Wow, that would be really cool.
Absolutely.
And whatever happened to Immortals, man? It was supposed to be released on February 2023. Remember, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. No,
What's going on?
I've had to answer many questions about that, man. And again, I feel like I'm the bridge between the fans and the band. So with that split and with a lot of things in the business, I think fans just think like when the music is done being recorded, snap, you can just put it out. And I think there's some things in the business, legalities and things like that have kind of stalled things a little bit. But I can firmly update to you guys that the record is completely done. It is ready for mix and master. And I think the plan is, hopefully Dave doesn't kick my ass for fucking saying this. The plan is to have this record out before the start of this upcoming tour in June. So we're kind of creeping up on a few announcements here in the next few days that I think fans are going to be really, really happy with, man. And as for me, I'm incredibly happy because I'm excited for the fans to hear this chapter of the band. You know what I mean? There's some great songs, man. There's some great heavy stuff that is reminiscent of the first few records, but there's also that new edge, you know what I mean? Like kind of like Mascara, it's got that new edge sledgehammer sound. And I don't know, man, it's kind of an out of body experience working on it, because to me, it is some of the best work that I've ever done, best writing that I've ever done. And I just kind of always take myself back to like 14, 15-year-old Marcus and kind of tell myself like, holy shit, you're writing and you're directing the band that you grew up idolizing in the direction into the future. So I'm really excited for everybody here. I know there will be backlash on it. You know what I mean? That's natural, but truthfully, as a
Make
fan,
everybody happy.
exactly. You know what I mean? And they weren't making everybody happy with the other members and some of
It
the
happens all the time. I mean, it's natural.
exactly. But I can firmly say that as a fan of the band from the very first record that came out, this is some of the band's best work. And I'm not just being biased because it's me singing on it. It's just, and I'm sure you being a fan of El Nino, some of those records there towards the middle, you were kind of, I'm speaking for myself personally, I kind of turned away from the band just because it was like, it's not really my style or my cup of tea anymore. And I feel like this is just kind of the kickstart, turn it back on. You know what I mean? The band's, back to prominence, man. So I'm really excited for people to hear it.
So beginning of June.
Yeah, that's the goal. That's the goal.
And tell Dave that if he gets mad about it, that you gave the breaking news to Peru.
Rock Talks. Yeah, I will. I'm sure he'll be upset about it. But as soon as I tell him I gave it to a Peruvian, I think he'll be happy with it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So all these singles that you guys were putting out for the past 2 years, I think you already put out like 4 or maybe 5.
Yeah, 5.
Oh, I'm sorry, the NUM 2023 version. It's not a cover. It's the same band. All these songs are going to be included on the upcoming album?
They will be, and I believe they will be remixed and remastered. because we put those out kind of as singles. So like now when you send it to a mix and master place, it would be dumb of us to have, you know, different sounding mixes on the record. So I think we're going to remix, remaster them. And I think we have about 10 more brand new songs that nobody's heard just yet. And we have some more features from some really, really amazing artists.
I was about to ask you
And
that.
yeah, I that I know he will cut my fucking nuts off if I tell people who it is. So I'm gonna save myself there.
All
But
right.
I'm excited for people to hear it, man, because it has been a long wait. I know the fans are dying for it. I see them in the comments every single day, and I get hundreds of messages about it. And the only thing I can say is it is coming soon. I can promise you that, and you can take my word on that.
All right, great. Well, we got 2 more minutes to wrap up this interview. I would like to ask you, how do you feel about playing with the one and only Mark Rizzo?
Man, oh, you know, I had and again, I don't throw my name out there in these moments, but I had a special fucking part in that happening, because as you know, that reunion was never going to happen, you know, with the previous members. You know, I just it was out of the question. Not to get into too much detail or to speak for Mark or anything, but that was not going to happen with Christian singing on the vocals.
Yeah.
So kind of once I was in the picture, I had toured with Soulfly quite a bit, and me and Mark were always trying to do something. We're always trying to work together somehow, some way. And so we kind of get into El Nino. Jess from Sons of Texas steps down from El Nino, and my first immediate thought was, this is fucking time for Mark Rizzo to, you know, rejoin the band. And I knew Laz was kind of talking to him and had a relationship with him, and I just kind of kept saying, yo, just think about the fans. Just think about, like, the fans deserve this after the breakup and after the whole mudslinging and all of that shit. You know what I mean? The fans deserve it, and to have a part in making that work, dude, is to me one of my greatest musical accomplishments. Like,
Nice.
And the first few shows that Rizzo came out to play, I saw it in the fans' eyes, and I tell him this all the time. I'm like, man, you are what, you know, of course, Dave, Laz, Danny, all of them are so special, but like, he was the one thing that was like, now this is real.
And he
Now
came
this
back
is.
with the backpack.
Oh yeah, I know, man. It was funny because we were telling him. I was like, man, you have to, bro. Like,
Right.
he didn't want to at first, but I was like, again, I keep telling him, like, I'm speaking to him like I'm the 15-year-old. I was like, yo, imagine what the fans are gonna think when you walk out, you do that, and you hit them with a spin kick. You know what I mean? And we open up with "You Still Hate Me," and oh man, it's been special seeing it overseas. Man, the way the crowds in Spain accepted him. Oh my God, it was special, man. And I got a lot of love and respect for Mark. I know he's going through some tough times right now. I know he lost his mother recently, so him and his family are always in my prayers. But he's definitely been one of my best friends throughout this whole journey.
All right. Well, that's it for today. Thank you very much, Marcos. This was really fun, and really looking forward to see you on the road. All right.
Hey, you keep in contact with me, man. You want to come out to the show? I'll make sure and I'll guest list you. We'll come out. We'll have some beers. You have a good time, brother.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, brother. Peace.
Bye.
If you like this interview, please give me a thumbs up, leave a comment, and share the video with all your friends. Also, very important, please don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell.